Hi, this is Belinda from Bolde Learning, and today I'm going to be walking you through Articulate Rise and how you can add visual elements to make the final course look less and less like your standard out-of-the-box Rise build. Let's get started. Okay, so here is my course that I've created in Rise. The first thing that you'll notice is up the top, I have removed the lesson headers. So they are not visible. I've replaced them with my own custom banner, which I've placed in as a full graphic with text in front. And the aim with this course is that the chapters will change, therefore the text changes up the top, but the image remains the same. So this creates consistency, and it is a way to provide a visual anchor at the top of every page for the learner. The next thing that you'll notice over here to the left is that we do not see the traditional Rise navigation on the left, which usually takes up quite a fair bit of real estate. I've actually decided to use the floating navigation here, so it still functions in the same way. You can still lock lessons and throughout the navigation. However, it displays a really nice visual of the original course graphic, and it just floats the navigation over here onto the left. So there's a lot more real estate on the page, and I think it looks quite modern, and it doesn't look like your traditional Rise course just by simply changing the navigation. So that's my second tip. My next tip is to add visual joiners between blocked out areas. So this is an example of one that I've done here. So I'll just put it into tablet mode so you can see what's going on here. So to break this down, we have a graphic up here, which I've created in either Canva or Illustrator. This is a custom block, and then we also have the graphic at the bottom. So this color and this color is the same hex number as this blocked background color. So this is what I like to call a joiner or a divider, and you can see here how it's pieced together. And this is just a nice way to have a breakout piece of text and having that supporting imagery. And that can be a block that you save, that's a recurring theme throughout the course. So that's another way to make it look not risey. Following on from custom joiners, another set that you'll see here, but this time in grey, is the use of custom icons throughout the course. Now these are visual representations throughout the course to educate the learner that, hey, read this piece of information. Hey, this is a video, this is an audio, you need to interact with this section here. So it's a great way to sort of have the text instruction, but then also a visual representation to support that. So that would be my next tip, is to add any visual supports in there that again can be placed in via a custom block or in this case, this was a full width graphic. This accordion, a really great way to add some dynamic movement to the page is to add an animated GIF. So this is from a website called Lord Icon. You can put in your brand hex numbers and pick your graphic. There's a few different styles to play with, and you can have it as a static PNG, an SVG. In this case, I've downloaded it as an animated GIF. You can decide how much you want it to loop as well, but I find that this is a really great way just to add a little bit of movement, especially when you've got quite dense text heavy areas. So if you can add any animated GIF, Lord Icon in this case, then that would be my next tip. Would be to level up your labeled graphics. So rather than just placing an image in there, consider creating an infographic which can be the visual reference to support the text that needs to be accessible. So you don't want to have too much text on there, otherwise you'll be writing a lot of alt text and the learner may not get what the intended outcome is of that interaction, especially if they're using an e-reader. So for this case, I've created an infographic with DEI and what it means, and then I have the infographic to support the investigation within that infographic. And again, I'm using my custom icon up here to educate the learner as to what they need to do with this interaction. So that would be my next tip, is create your own infographics in something really simple like Canva. There's a lot of really great templates in there. You can place them in here and then place the markers into the appropriate sections of that infographic. My next tip would be to use image treatment on your images and not just place in graphics without any graphic design elements to it. So I've been very intentional with the graphics in this course because the banners have this circular design up the top. So I'm going to try and stick to circles as my main shape that we see. So when encasing an image in a shape, I've selected a circle again and created this graphic. You can do that in either Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, or in a very, very easy case is Canva. You can set up templates in there and bulk batch a whole heap of images to use in your course. Now this style of image I use for image and text. I'll use it within accordions, I'll use it within the quote. So consistency is key really. So pick a style and stick to it and apply that throughout the whole course so the learner knows that they're looking at the same course every time they're on a new section. My next tip would be that you should be trying to brand as many things as you can. So here I've branded the cover of each of the flip cards. Now again, we're working with curved circular sort of shapes, and I've added text onto the front. So I usually make a batch of numbers for flip card designs, but then also ones with just question marks as well are a really good way to use, or even an info symbol. So here you can see that they just have the numbers, making sure you're putting alt text because this is a graphic with text within it. So adding alt text, and all that really needs to say is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. But if I have a look at this in tablet mode, you can see now they don't look like your standard flip cards or flashcards that we see within Rise. They're branded, they look a little bit more unique, and it's as simple as uploading an image that you've created in Canva. So that's my next tip, brand everything including flip cards. So my next suggestion would be to utilize the custom blocks that Articulate Rise have now. So these are really handy. What I'll do is I'll go into edit so you can see what these look like from the back end. So if I go in here, this is just your basic custom block. It's got a rectangle with text in it, and it's got a circle with an icon in it, which I can just replace if I want to. I can change the size of this canvas as well. Now this is also a custom block down here. However, I was able to add my animated GIFs in here, so I'm able to have my movement brought in there. I can change the block background, and I can make these, they're more like little kind of coaching cards that you see. So I could make that bigger, I can extend this out if I wanted to add more of them, and this will just update where I've placed it into the Rise build. So rather than jumping out into another program and designing something and bringing it back in, utilize these custom blocks. It's a really great feature, and I'm really glad that they added it to a recent update in Rise. My final suggestion here is just to add a visual to represent the quizzed area. So you can see I've used my joiner here again, but I've added just a simple circle graphic with a question mark icon for a quiz. So again, it's a visual anchor. The learner knows, oh, I'm in the question section now, and that's consistent every time they go to the quiz. Now this isn't a graded quiz, this is a knowledge check area, and we can't really edit this too much. It's a very standard layout, but if you're able to add some graphic to support that, just don't neglect your quizzes. At the end of the day, you want it to look a little like it's just as branded as everything else, even though it's just the basic quiz. So those are my 10 tips.